Latin 1 in a nutshell, part 1, nouns. In Latin, there's 5 basic things a noun can do, 5 reasons it would be in a sentence, and each one has a name. So the first thing it might be is it might be a subject, and we call that nominative. It might own something, or it might show possession, we call that genitive. Frequently, that'll be translated with the word of. So if your basic word is girl, and it's in the genitive, it would be of the girl. It might be an indirect object, we call that dative. Indirect object frequently can be translated with the word to or for. So again, if our word were girl, genitive would be of the girl, and dative would be to the girl or for the girl. Might be a direct object, or the object of a sid-space preposition. We'll talk more about what sid-space prepositions are in the unit on prepositions. Okay? Those would be called accusative case. And it might be the object of a sid-space preposition. Again, we'll talk about those in prepositions, in which case it's ablative. Ablative frequently is translated with the words with or by. So again, for girl, it would be with the girl or by the girl. What does a noun vocab entry look like? They're made up of 4 parts. You see here, puella, puelli, feminine, girl. And the first part, puella, that's your nominative singular. That's your basic form of the word that means girl. Puelli, that's your genitive singular. We talked a minute ago that genitive means of. So puella is girl, puelli, of the girl. Yeah. The next part tells you what gender the word is. Now for the word girl, that seems obvious. It won't always be obvious on Latin words, so we give it to you, feminine, and then the English translation, girl. Why 4 parts? The first 2 are really important. And the first one, puella, that's your standard form of the word. That means girl as the subject of your sentence. And the genitive, we give it to you because you're going to use that to help find out what declension a word is and what the stem of that word is to put the other endings that you need on it. Endings. You need these endings. If you don't know these off the top of your head, you need to write these down right now before you go on to the next slide. Okay? Your endings going for first declension are A, AE, AE, AM, long A, that's an important long mark, AE, ARUM, IS, AS, and IS. For second, it's US, or sometimes it's an R. We'll talk more about that later. I, O, UM, O, I, ORUM, IS, OS, and IS. For third declension, we say that the first one is blank. That means there's no pattern to the ending there. There will always be a word in that spot, but there's no pattern to the ending. Okay, so it's blank, and then IS, I, EM, E, ES, UM, IBIS, S, IBIS. Now, you need to have these written down before we go on to the next slide. So we can talk about the declensions. On that chart, you notice we had 3 columns. They were called first, second, and third. Those are declensions. First declension, second declension, third declension. And a declension is effectively just a family of nouns. It's a group of nouns that are going to follow a similar pattern. All the words in first declension get the same set of endings on them. Second declension and third declension, the same thing. Latin overall has 5 declensions, but right now we're only going to look at 1, 2, and 3. Okay, the next thing we need to talk about is a stem. You noticed on that chart that they all had a dash in front of them. Those are endings. They have to get added to something. What do they get added to? Well, they get added to a stem. How do you find the stem? You take your genitive singular, that's that second part of that noun entry, remember, and then you remove the ending from it. Okay. Let's take a look at that line from our chart again. Here's that genitive singular line. It was the second line on your chart. Okay. Here's a bunch of nouns. If you look at mons, montes, masculine, mountain, the second word is your genitive. You'll see right here your genitive ending is, so you're going to remove that to find your stem. Okay. Once you determine if a word is first declension like villi, or second declension, like hortus horti, or third declension, like mons montes, all the other endings will be from the same declension. That word will not change declensions. That will tell you what column you're working with. All right, so take a moment for each of these words, mons, villa, hortus, puer, vox, amicus, and arena, and find the stem for them. Yeah? Write those down. On the next page, I'll show you the answers. Okay, so your stems. For mons montes, we said you take your genitive and you remove the is, so your stem is mont. Villi, you remove the ae. Horti, you remove the I. Pueri is also the I. Vox vocis, you're removing the is. Amici the I, and arenae the ae. So, what does that all mean? That allows us to create a paradigm chart. A paradigm chart is just when we put the stem and the ending together and write an entire word in the chart instead of just the endings like you were shown earlier. How do you do this? You copy the nominative singular from your vocab entry into the nominative singular spot. You don't have to do anything, just copy it. Same thing for the genitive singular, just copy that. Those two are freebies, they're given to you. Then, for all the other spots, dative singular, accusative singular, ablative singular, nominative plural, etc., you write the stem and then the appropriate ending. So, take a moment, try and write out the chart for puella, puellae, feminine girl, servus, servi, masculine, slave, and vox, vocis, feminine voice. Yeah. Take a minute and write those out, pause this, and then I'll show you the answers. Okay. Here's your paradigm chart for these three words. So puella means girl. Puellae would mean of the girl. Okay. Puellae as a dative means to or for the girl. Puellam means the girl is a direct object. Puella, with that long A, means with the girl or by the girl. Puellae would mean girls. Puellarum means of the girls, to the girls, puellis. Puellas, direct object, plural, girls. And puellis, with the girls or by the girls. Same thing for servus, servi, etc. Vox, vocis. Notice here that your nominative form and your genitive form look a little different from each other. Every other form is going to look like your genitive because your stem is formed by taking the genitive and removing the is. So VOC becomes your stem for every other ending. Okay? That's all there is to know about declensions and how to decline a noun in Latin.